It was some time before Dennis had breath enough to speak, but as soon as he could resume his propitiatory strain, he did so. 'I did the best that could be done, brother,' he whined. 'I did indeed. I was forced with 2 bayonets, and I don't know how many bullets on each side of me to point you out. If you hadn't been taken, you'd have been shot, and what a sight that would have been, a fine young man like you.' 'Will it be a better sight now?' asked Hugh, raising his head with such a fierce expression that the other durst not answer him just then. 'A deal better,' said Dennis meekly, after a pause. 'First, there's all the chances of the law, and they're 500 strong. We may get off scot-free. Unlikelier things than that have come to pass. Even if we shouldn't, and the chances fail, we can but be worked off once, and when it's well done, it's so neat, so skilful, so captivating, if that don't seem too strong a word, that you'd hardly believe it could be brought to sich perfection. Kill one's fellow creatures off with muskets, pah!' And his nature so revolted at the bare idea, that he spat upon the dungeon pavement. His warming on this topic, which to one unacquainted with his pursuits and tastes appeared like courage, together with his artful suppression of his own secret hopes, and mention of himself as being in the same condition with Hugh, did more to soothe that ruffian than the most elaborate arguments could have done, or the most abject submission. He rested his arms upon his knees, and stooping forward, looked from beneath his shaggy hair at Dennis with something of a smile upon his face. 'The fact is, brother,' said the hangman in a tone of greater confidence, 'that you got into bad company. The man that was with you was looked after more than you, and it was him I wanted. As to me, what have I got by it? Here we are, in one and the same plight.' 'Look'ee, rascal,' said Hugh, contracting his brows, 'I'm not altogether such a shallow blade but I know you expected to get something by it, or you wouldn't have done it. But it's done, and you're here, and it will soon be all over with you and me, and I'd as soon die as live, or live as die. Why should I trouble myself to have revenge on you? To eat and drink and go to sleep as long as I stay here is all I care for. If there was but a little more sun to bask in, than can find its way into this cursed place, I'd lie in it all day, and not trouble myself to sit or stand up once. That's all the care I have for myself. Why should I care for you?' Finishing this speech with a growl like the yawn of a wild beast, he stretched himself upon the bench again, and closed his eyes once more. After looking at him in silence for some moments, Dennis, who was greatly relieved to find him in this mood, drew the chair towards his rough couch, and sat down near him, taking the precaution, however, to keep out of the range of his brawny arm. 'Well said, brother. Nothing could be better said,' he ventured to observe. 'We'll eat and drink of the best, and sleep our best, and make the best of it every way. Anything can be got for money. Let's spend it merrily.' 'Ay!' said Hugh, coiling himself into a new position. 'Where is it?' 'Why, they took mine from me at the lodge,' said Mr Dennis, 'but mine's a peculiar case.' 'Is it? They took mine too.' 'Why then, I tell you what, brother,' Dennis began, 'you must look up your friends.' 'My friends!' cried Hugh, starting up and resting on his hands. 'Where are my friends?' 'Your relations, then,' said Dennis. 'laughed Hugh, waving one arm above his head. 'He talks of friends to me! Talks of relations to a man whose mother died the death in store for her son, and left him a hungry brat without a face he knew in all the world. He talks of this to me!' 'Brother!' cried the hangman, whose features underwent a sudden change. 'You don't mean to say—' 'I mean to say,' Hugh interposed, 'that they hung her up at Tyburn. What was good enough for her is good enough for me. Let them do the like by me as soon as they please. The sooner the better. Say no more to me. I'm going to sleep. But I want to speak to you. I want to hear more about that,' said Dennis, changing colour. 'If you're a wise man,' growled Hugh, raising his head to look at him with a frown, 'you'll hold your tongue. I tell you I'm going to sleep.' Dennis venturing to say something more in spite of this caution, the desperate fellow struck at him with all his force, and missing him, lay down again with many muttered oaths and imprecations, and turned his face towards the wall. After 2 or 3 ineffectual twitches at his dress, which he was hardy enough to venture upon, notwithstanding his dangerous humour, Mr Dennis, who burnt, for reasons of his own, to pursue the conversation, had no alternative but to sit as patiently as he could, waiting his further pleasure. Chapter 74.